And I get a phone call at 4:45, which is unusual because most people are sleeping. Well, it's Stone. And he says, I'm going to give you, and I quote, I say, yeah, because I'm wondering, I'm thinking he's overslept and he's going to be late because that's really the only time you get that call. But he said, I say, yeah. He says, watch out for that body in the middle of the road. I said, so what would you say to that?
I said, come again?
Well, you would say come again. I said, and I said it frustratingly because I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
So I said, what kind of body? I said it like that. And he said, in this manner of speaking, human. So I just hung up. Because I thought,
watch out for that body.
Watch out for the human body.
30,
and Jay says,
the body.
I hung up. So 30 seconds later, because now I'm looking in the road, which he didn't know where I was at. And I didn't know where he was at. But now I'm almost here.
Most people would have had that conversation.
I know. I mean, I probably should have. But how do you explain in that stretch? Because up until this point, I haven't seen a body in the road. I would have remembered that. So I'm almost here. I mean, within a few miles.
Yeah.
So I start looking. 30 seconds, I see something in the road. Big. And I thought, well, that can't be a human body. That's too big. And it was in the middle of the road, as in I'm slowing down because I would have hit this, whatever this is.
And this is not a standing body.
No. And so as I slow down, I thought, there's a human laying in the road, across the road, head where the lines would be in the middle, feet on
Probably
the side.
better say a human lying in the road.
Lying in the road, my bad. So
For our vocabulary lessons.
Just,
English major, I know. I'm caught up in the hysteria of what happened. So I ease around the body in the road because it was a human. And at that moment, I felt compassion. I thought this body was dead because it was face down in the asphalt with kind of arms outstretched. So I called Stone back. And because I was going to say, I'm fixing to see if this body is alive. But as I'm pushing the dial, I see the truck coming, and I'm looking. I'm like, oh, because it's hard to turn around there.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to turn around. So he said, watch out for the body, and he had to find a place to turn around. He's coming back. So I was like, perfect. So he come up beside me, and he's like, what do you think? And I said, I don't know. So he called 911. So now he's on the phone with 911. And I hear him now, because now I've just turned around in the ditch, and we're both got our headlights on this human body. Well,
And you're thinking he's dead.
I mean, Al, I'm like 99% sure he looked dead.
Okay.
I mean, who would do this? Because there's no civilization.
And there was no
anymore.
vehicle.
There's no
anywhere.
house. There's no and I'm looking at all this. I got a spotlight that I use for duck hunting, and I'm looking in the bushes thinking, I've seen enough movies to think, okay,
this is the beginning of a horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, I have located my pistol. I haven't drawn it, but I know where it's at. And because I thought it could be people in the bushes saying, oh, I'm hurt. And then you get out. I mean, we've seen those. I mean, that was in the back of my mind, but I'm thinking somebody has either dumped this body or hit this body. But as I'm...
And by the way, it's on Carcass Lane? Is that on that side?
No, but
okay.
it's in the general vicinity. Okay. And so, but I started assessing the situation as he's talking. And I'm like, there's nobody in the woods because I lit them up with this spotlight. There's nobody out here. I see no blood. Now I see no movement, but I see no blood.
Yeah.
And I looked at his feet. He was bare feet, and he had pajama pants on, and just like a regular shirt, but the pajama pants were kind of pulled down a little bit, and so it's like you see his midsection was just exposed.
Yeah. Which
was troubling, but I thought, there's no blood. I see no wound. And then his feet looked real dirty, as in he'd been walking on the road. And I thought, maybe he just collapsed. So then it hit me to do what I should have done first. I went, hey! I hollered, I mean loud. Well, when I hollered, Jay went, there's movement, because he kind of moved his head. And Jay's like talking to 911. He's alive. And then I heard Jay say, but he's not looking real good. And that's what I was thinking. So then the guy puts his arms behind him, because you got to remember, we're up on pretty close to him with our headlight. I noticed this position. Yeah, it's the handcuff position. I said, he thinks we're the law. So that made me think he's probably been up to no good. Because, I mean,
It's possible in this particular scenario.
I mean, I'll just put myself in this situation. If I've decided to take a rest in the middle of the road, asphalt, my first inclination...
You need to be over in the tree line in the ditch.
It's not funny. This is not funny, but everybody live. Now that he's alive, we can laugh.
We can laugh about it.
But my first inclination, if somebody hollered at me, would not be to assume the handcuff position. That just wouldn't happen.
That gave you a little information on where this possibly could start.
That's what I thought. So then I thought, okay, we have either drunkenness, drugs, or mental problems.
Yep.
One of those three things, I don't know what else we could have here. And so I said that, and Jay was relaying that to the 911.
Yeah.
Is there movement? Yeah. Is he coherent? No, he's not coherent. He tried to lift his head. So then it got into the back and forth of, what's he doing? Do you feel safe? And Jay
Stone
was like,
said they told him to wait right there, and he said, look, I got decoys to put out.
No, here's what happened. Stone said, do you want us to wait till you get here? And they said, we don't care what you do. We're coming. So I think they thought, because you say that, Jay said, well, that seemed a little, impolite of me. And I was like, well, no, they're thinking, what? There's nobody out there except y'all. Y'all are going duck hunting and this fella.
He could also turn violent. Then you'd have to do something.
Well, I think that's what they were probably thinking.
Right.
Because I'm like, it was
you don't want to have to do something to this person either.
Yeah, which I was never.
You never felt
my
threatened.
first thing was not going to be pull out my pistol,
Right.
unless a bunch of people bum rushed the vehicle.
Right.
If he got up and went zombie apocalypse, I would just hook it in reverse. I can outrun a man in his condition in my truck. And so they said, we're on the way. Long story short, ambulance comes. He never looked like, oh, I fell asleep in the middle of the road. So he had a bad night. But I was telling Stone, I was like, no, the reason you tell this story is if you have a drinking problem or a drug problem, you don't want to end up in asphalt sleeping where there's just all these critters that most of the time when they see a body laying in the road, they're like, here we go. Because I was thinking more like that.
Especially in this area, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
We got a bobcats over there in the ditch saying, what do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, so, that's where it leads. But I thought to myself, this could be the bottom. Sure, we could have just kept going, but I'm like, here, this human being here.
Yeah.
We got to stop our life, and maybe this will be, a point where they can get their act together.
Some sort of
because
thing.
it seemed kind of I'm just guessing, but if you're laying out in the middle, literally the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the road, and there's people driving by, there's some changes that need to be made.
It's a dangerous spot.
Yeah.
To lie down.
Yeah, exactly.